Mifan Careem is a Chief Solutions Officer in WSO2. He is now based in New Jersey. He's from Sri Lanka. I think moved to New Jersey about 10 years ago. And he's going to talk to us about the impact we've had with our customers over the 20 years and kind of talk you through some case studies. So I didn't talk about any technology stuff. We're not going to really talk about tech stuff, but today he's going to kind of give you an idea of what a small business can do to impact the world and the way we've operated with those customers. Thank you.
Life beats in moments, moments that connect us, that move us, moments that make us feel alive. It makes us take that first step from ideas sparked in the dark to innovations shaping tomorrow, powering what's next, making things faster, seamless, smarter, and driving change. Intelligent experiences that learn, adapt, and evolve, unlocking new possibilities and redefining the way we live. Because technology isn't just about what it does, it's about what it makes possible, who it touches, how it changes lives. At the core, we are the pulse-powering breakthrough technology that elevates your everyday life. Driving the now, powering the future. WSO2, the pulse within.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Senior Vice President and Chief Solutions Officer of WSO2, Mifan Careem.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I'm still in the realm of good afternoon, right? There's like 15 more minutes. I just looked it up. I Gemini'd it, and it said like wait till 5 p.m. And so 5 in the morning is good evening, right? So hopefully I'll end at good evening. Thanks, Sanjeev, for the intro, and thanks for the great talk. We are here after 20 years, right? So this has been a really eventful journey, a nice journey. And I'm just going to start off with something. I didn't grow up with this, by the way. I'm a bit wary now that Sanjeev said that he wants to lower the average age of WSO2. I'm not this old. This was a book in the 1930s by Walter Pippy. It was a folk tale in the US, which was about this little engine. And there were, of course, variations of this. You might have seen the variations, the cartoons, etc. Hopefully, some of you might have read the book, right? So this is about an engine that is trying to take a bunch of kids and a circus over the mountain, and the larger engine said no. And then this engine says, okay, I'll do it, I'll try. I've never done this before. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to raise capital. I don't know how to compete against the large diesel engine. I don't know how to basically manage a team. I don't know how to build product. But I'm going to try. And basically the engine put the carriages onto it, and it started going up the hill. And it kept saying, I think I can, I think I can. There was a famous politician in US also who borrowed his tagline from this as well, right? So that was pretty successful. So this is the little engine that could. This is the story of WSO2. And 20 years, as I said, is a long time. 20 years so we've spent the 20 years hard at work, sometimes hardly working. We've spent this with quite a bit of luck. We've had the ups where the market has been good. The customers have come in. They've said, hey, I don't want to pick any of your competitors. I love WSO2. We've had the situations where they've said, everything's good, but I'm not going to pick you. I'm not going to tell you the reason. So we've had our ups, we've had our downs. We've learned from it. We've had our struggles. We've had our good times. We've had our periods where we had lots of revenue coming in, periods where we had to cut down on certain things. But 20 years is a long time, right? And it's also 20 years of innovation, 20 years of scale. So we'll talk about this in a bit. And then, of course, 20 years of impact. And all the videos that you saw up there is testament to our impact, right? Again, thank you for being here. So let's look at innovation. WSO2, again, 20 years is a long time, right? And if you look at the timeline, starting from all the way back in 2005 to 2025, right? 2025, by the way. I get a little bit of the US thing as well. I've been in Sri Lanka all my life. I moved to US 10 years ago, and we call it 2025 there, right? Not 2025. Over the years, so we worked on multiple things, right? If you looked at our website on WSO2.com, you can go back. There's this machine called the archive.org, or there's a website called archive.org. You can go back on that, and you'll basically see the different websites, the different variations, right? So at a time, we had what is called a connected company, right? Where you connect everything together. That year was interesting. On April Fool's Day, Sanjeeva released a video of a product called a connected bathroom. And there were lots of people taken up into that as well. There was a time where we had lean products, right? So we called it lean middleware. There was a time where we had 26 products in the company. And our mantra was, if you're a customer and you want to build stuff using middleware, you can basically pick the right products and use it there. This is all on premises at the time, right? So you needed to have something that was lean, and this was pre-microservices era. You then had, sorry, that's a much more clearer screen, I guess, right? Then we basically decided that, okay, sometimes it's a bit too difficult when you give too much choice, right? Because we are the experts, right? So we should be able to tell you, okay, you don't need to pick from these 25 products or 26 products. We'll tell you what to pick. And then we decided, okay, let's bring them all together and package them and make it a bit more easier for customers. And we brought them down to 5 products. There was a time WSO2 had a telco offering. We had an IoT offering. We had a business process server. We had a cloud services platform, XPaaS back in the day. And we had multiple offerings, right? And today we have that picture that you see at the very end, right? And of course, this will change. As Sanjeev mentioned, we are not here for the short game, right? We are here for the long haul. We want to be a forever company, and that means we'll continue to iterate. Along the way, there have been some interesting products as well. Back in the day, we had an enterprise service bus. We made our start with that. We had an identity access management system, which still remains today. We had something called a governance registry, which we joke about it today, saying it can govern anything, but it doesn't govern anything, right? So which basically means it's a framework. It's a digital governance framework where you can govern your schemas, your database structures, your artifacts, your APIs, whatnot, and so on and so forth. And it was one of the most powerful products at that day and age. But today, it's not relevant because you're in a microservices age. You're talking about self-service. You're talking about automation. You're trying to move away from all of these governance principles, right? So we moved on from that. Siddhi is an interesting language. I'll talk to you about this in a bit. Siddhi is an open source technology for stream processing, right? For complex event processing. And we had a complex event processor around that. Uber was one of our big users of Siddhi, and I'll talk through that in a bit as well. And so we had multiple products, right? And if you look through, there are certain products like WSO2 App Factory. If you're old enough, or you've been with WSO2 long enough, you might remember this. We had a comprehensive platform which could do everything from governance to DevOps to API management to integration, the full lifecycle API management. One thing we realized was this was too early to market, right? So back then, there was no Cloud Foundries and all of the other platforms out there. There was no the Pivotal, there was no VMwares, there was no Heroku's out there, and we were the only one out there, right? So we had this really great platform, and as usual with WSO2, we looked at it for some time, we decided, okay, this is not right for the time, and we moved on, right? If you would have stuck to that, that would have been a great market-leading product. But no worries there, because we learned our lesson, we figured out how to do stuff, and we moved on. Similarly, like one of the things you would see today is this cell-based architecture, right? So one aspect Asanka and Paul and the team started to look at is you have all these microservices in this era. How do you start managing microservices? How do you look at this from a very pragmatic point of view? How do you group them together? How do you create so-called mini services? How do you create 2 pizza teams? And we created this concept, right? So that's another concept we created. We are, of course, looking to the future, and you have seen this picture in some of our previous sessions. And Rania, who is doing the keynote on the last day, will talk through this, which is our AI reference architecture. And in AI, we are uniquely positioned as well because we are one of the very few companies out there who play in multiple areas. Right? So we have an integration platform which you can use to integrate to different LLMs. We have an API platform which can act as a facade to these so-called LLMs. We have an identity platform that can handle tokens and identities, and everything put together. You can have your governance, your guardrails, your innovation hubs, all of these around AI. Right? So we are in a unique position there. But then also, if you look at each and every one of our products, we have incorporated AI into that as well. But as Sanjeeva mentioned, we always look at the plateau of productivity. Right? So we are not very keen to jump into technology the minute it comes out. We try to see what others are doing. We ride the wave out. We look at what's stable. We put a lot of thought into it, and we get into the game. Right? So, but over the years, the summary of this is basically we've been there, we've done that in terms of technology. We like hard problems. We like to dabble in technology. We like to be at the bleeding edge, but at the same time, we like to be stable with our products as well. Right? So we've had different technology areas there. One of the principles with WSO2 is our thinking, our first principles thinking. This term, of course, became a big thing with Elon Musk talking about first principles, his takeover of Twitter, his SpaceX initiative, so on and so forth. But way before this was a path that we were taking as well. So any technology area, we basically take a step back and try to think, what are we really trying to solve, right? Or at least that's how we want to do stuff. So integration was a key area. Right? We've been in integration for 20 years now. Back then, this was like maybe 8 years ago or 10 years ago. Microservices started coming out. We had this big bulky ESB. All of our competitors like Red Hat and TIBCO and Oracle had these big bulky ESBs. And the world was moving towards microservices. And people were trying to figure out, how do I fit this big bulky ESB into this small tiny container here? Do I just take it and build a big fat container? Do I break it up and do something? Do I write my own stuff? So that was a problem, right? And lots of vendors were trying to solve this in different ways. So we looked at this problem in a different way. I don't know whether you can read that. That's just a Gemini question asking, how do I build a programming language, right? And it says, don't. But it's a long-winded answer. It says don't, and then it says it's hard, right? So don't be crazy. So what we said was, to solve the integration problem in a microservices space, you really need to change the underlying way integration works. And that means you need a language that is built for integration. And that's what we did, right? So it took us a long time, a lot of effort, 456 person years R&D, and then of course all the other additional stuff to do this. And we came up with Ballerina. Today, the version we have is called Ballerina Swan Lake. It is integrated into our Ballerina integrator, so it's integrated thereby into our integration product. It is one of the engines of most of our products. But at the end of the day, this is a very unique, innovative technology that we rolled out there. And this is a very hard problem to solve. Right? So I'm just going to pull up some screenshots there of Ballerina as well. So if you are a customer of WSO2, you might be using the integrator in some form or the other. If you're a prospect, you might be looking at this or evaluating this. We focused a lot on web concepts. We focused a lot on how to make concepts, natural constructs, as part of the language itself. So the language understands JSON, it understands databases, it understands streaming, it understands everything natively as part of the language, right? And there are technologies out there like Java and so on and so forth, which are great technologies, which have been around, but which now have to be retrofitted in order to handle the web era. And Ballerina is born in the web era, so it's much more unique. That's a screenshot of the RedMonk ranking. RedMonk does an annual ranking of programming languages, and Ballerina was one of the languages they called out there. Again, the screenshot might be too small. They called it out, saying this was the actual only language that had a 20 place or 30 place jump in the RedMonk ranking, and they made sure to call out at the bottom saying we have no affiliation with WSO2. Because it sounded like that was a WSO2 pitch as well. Just going back to one of the things Sanjeeva spoke about as well. This first principles thinking is also something we adopt internally. Right? We like to work on hard problems, not just the easy problems that will make us a quick buck. Right? We're not about money machines and cash cows. We want to work on things that will be there for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, whatever that future would look like. So even our employees or even interns who join WSO2, we look at them and say, what's the hardest problem you can work on? Right? So we give really hard problems to our interns and ask them to go away and work on it and come back. So that is one of the things we practice internally as well. Now, let me focus on another area, which is, so this is a Gemini version of a WSO2 solutions architect. He doesn't have a beard. The previous person had a beard. It looked a bit like me, but I had to change the picture. And my definition of a solutions architect here is the whole company, the whole of WSO2, right? So we have R&D who builds products listening to customer feedback. We have customer success who basically listens to customer feedback and responds to them. So they continuously work day and night supporting customers. We have the pre-sales team and the post-sales team or solutions architecture team who consult directly with customers. We have the sales team who engages with customers and builds relationships. We have all the additional teams like the GTM teams, the administrative teams, the marketing teams. All of us together are combined a solutions architect for WSO2 because we are experts in this space, right? And if you look at how we work with our customers, a prospect might look at, let's say, some problem. Let's say I want to build a loyalty management platform. And then they go and Google and figure out, like, I need to build a loyalty management platform. What do I need? And Gemini basically says, you need an API management platform. So then they go to maybe a Gartner or Forrester and look up API management platforms and try to figure out who should I talk to, right? So at that point, after they make all those decisions and have those discussions, they come to WSO2 and say, hey, I'm building a loyalty management platform. I need an API platform. I'm talking to three or four vendors. Can you show me something? Can you show me a demo? Can you show me a presentation? Can we talk about pricing, right? So that's when we started getting engaged, right? But there's some interesting numbers there. So we have worked over the period of time, we worked with around 20,000 inbound leads, right? So we've listened to all these leads over the last 20 years, right? So we know their problems, we know their solutions, we know what they went with, so on and so forth. We have also worked with like 75,000 open source projects. I'll come to that. We worked with 5,000 plus OEM customers, around 8,000 plus unique deployments and projects out there, around 120,000 support tickets over the last 20 years, right? So this is a massive, massive knowledge base of things that went well, things that didn't go well, the problems the world is looking at, the trends that the world is looking at, right? So that's the knowledge base we start with. Now, when we work with customers, we work on different problems, right? So customers come and tell us, hey, I want this API management platform. Can you help me set this up, right? So we help them set it up. Or I've got this platform running. Can you help me set up APIs? How do I run an API program? How do I do API evangelism? How do I make sure that people are using the platform the way it is intended to, right? So we do that. Then someone comes and says, I'm trying to build out a microservices architecture. I'm trying to build out a zero trust architecture. I have all these enterprise software engineering problems. Can you help me with that, right? And sometimes we help with those things. But then there are all these additional things that is under the iceberg, right? So we help with tip of the iceberg. Under the iceberg, you have all these things where you need to set up a platform, a self-service platform, observability, analytics. You need to make sure this team goes off and does their stuff. You need to make sure these APIs are discoverable. You need to make sure there's a service registry where all the integrations can go into. And there's hundreds and hundreds of things that is required. And there are 20, 30, 40 other platforms that our customers require to build this total platform. We worked with one company who had 200 engineers, and it took them 5 years to build out the platform, and WSO2 was just like 10, 20% of that. And by the time the project was over, or the platform was built, the business had moved on, right? That requirement was no longer there, right? So this is a challenge. And so what we are doing in this space is saying, we are the experts here. We've seen this, we've been there, we've done that. We've seen the good stuff, we've seen the bad stuff. And that's how Choreo was born. So Choreo is basically an internal developer platform that productizes nearly 6,000 plus person years of experience and best practices into a platform. Right? And our iPaaS is built on top of Choreo. Our API management SaaS is built on top of Choreo. And the real reason behind this is we figured out that we are the experts. We know what we're saying. We know what we're doing. Yes, we would make mistakes once in a while, granted, but we can help you. And that is why we built this framework, we built this platform, and we build our products on top of this platform. So that's on the innovation side. Let's talk about scale a little bit. These are numbers you see on the website, right? So 60 trillion transactions going through the platform every year, right? 1 billion identities handled, around 1,000 plus initiatives. We have around 720 customers working with us directly, around 5,200 enterprises in 97 countries, right? And there are some interesting numbers here. We work with a bank in Europe who has 10,000 APIs. There are companies that struggle to have 5 APIs, and this bank has 10,000 APIs. There's an energy company that has around 15,000 APIs. We work with one of the largest retailers in the world. They're, I think, the 4th largest retailer in the world. They do Black Friday sales, and they do around 500 million API calls daily, right, through the platform. We work with one of the largest government tax systems where everything goes through that platform, and they did around 1.6 billion transactions during the tax season. Right? And we work with, I think, one of the top 5 hotel resort chains in the world, who also support opening the doors with the mobile phones, right? So you can figure out who they are. And they basically do around 50,000 API calls a second. Because if you walk up to the door and use your mobile phone, that results in 10 API calls. If you go to Google and pull the slider, we pull the slider for fun, saying, I want to see how many rooms are there. That's like 50,000 API calls. We are not complaining as WSO2, but we don't charge by the API yet, but we are not complaining either way. But these are massive transactions in the background, right? To make digital work, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of technology, a lot of scale, and we support that scale today. Right? But what we are most proud about is this number, 75,000. And this is the estimated open source users out there. As a solutions architect today, I can walk into any customer with my head held high saying, this is our pitch, this is our products, these are our products. If you like it, sign up with us. If you don't like us, use the products anyways. It's open source. It's 100% open source. It's not a gimmick saying 80% open source and you pay for the interesting 20%. It's 100% open source. And that is by design. So from day one, we basically said, and this guy there at the bottom said that, saying, we are going to make this open source. We're going to keep this open source. We often have arguments with the sales team saying, where the sales team comes back saying, hey, shall we make this 20% a little bit more difficult to get? But then we've also always pushed back saying, no, this is part of the DNA of the company and it'll always be open source. And so there are different reasons for that. One of the major reasons is sustainability. If you really want to impact the world, if you really want to make a change, you have to make software available, right? So there's all these quotes saying software is eating the world, platform is eating the world, AI is eating something else, all of that, right? But if you really want to make a difference, you have to give software away free. You have to make it available. It's not really about free, but it has to be available to the masses, right? And alongside the customers that we have a lot of open source users out there. We don't necessarily know all the users out there, but there are some of them who come back to us and say, hey, we are using your platform, we are very happy with it, we are happy to give a talk. So if there are open source users out there, we are very happy to engage with you. We'll make sure we don't send the sales team after you, right? But so for example, at the conference this year, we had Hyatt who spoke about their use of Ballerina. And they use Ballerina across the board as an open source project. So maybe a few years ago, one interesting talk was from Uber, and I mentioned this, right? So where Uber was using the Siddhi platform to do fraud detection of their vehicles, where if someone is picking you up and you are happy with them, and then a few minutes later you make a deal with them saying, hey, why don't you go off the Uber network? I'll pay you this much, and let's go on the second drive. And so how do you track that? So we were part of that project, right? So we were part of the Uber fraud detection. And Uber was nice enough to say, I'm going to come and give a talk about that because I'm happy with the platform. We recently realized during one of these wars out there, this geopolitical situation, that one of the major space agencies in the world, one of the superpowers, is using WSO2 for the space agency, right? And so on and so forth. One of the largest manufacturers in the world today is using WSO2 open source. I can't mention names in most cases. We need permission for that. But you can always go search up certain keywords and you can find out the open source projects that are out there, which is really nice to see once in a while saying, hey, this user is using WSO2, this user is using WSO2. So that's something that's near and dear to our heart. And then finally, the theme of this talk is about impact, right? 20 years of impact. So I'll not go into this. I'm just going to play a video. I think I've been talking for some time, and let's see whether the video works so you can listen to that.
What if we told you that we could cure blood cancer? That we could take the cells in one person's body and use them to save another? What if we told you that we not only have the will, the desire, and the ambition to impact more lives more often, but the technology, tools, and experts to make it happen? For people with blood cancers like leukemia, blood disorders like sickle cell, rare diseases, and beyond, because everyone deserves another chance, especially when a cure is within reach. At NMDP, we're guided by a belief, an optimism, a mission. We're mobilizing donors to create a movement that unlocks the power within. We're fueling advances in cell therapy to accelerate progress and change. We're working together as a world-class partner to push the limits of what's possible. We're expanding access so that every patient can receive their life-saving treatment. We have the ambition to change the world. NMDP. Find cures. Save lives.
So NMDP is one of our customers in the US. They've been a customer for a long time. They use us for integrating across hospital networks, different systems. They're one of the largest marrow donor programs in the world. Their mission is to wake up every day and save a life, which is nice, which makes us feel like partners, and we want to be part of this problem that they're trying to solve. Right? I think they're at around 7,000 lives saved at the moment, and their goal by either this year or next year is to get to 10,000 lives. And they have a massive database of these donors. So surprisingly, one of the things I learned was if you have a rare condition, even within your family, there's 70% chance that you cannot find a match. So you need services like this, like databases like this outside, where you can go to and find a match and help save lives. Right? The second one I'm going to talk about is, I'm going to let the video talk about, is Reserve Bank of India's Innovation Hub, right? So let's.
Why is my banking app so complex?
मेरी बैंकिंग प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करने में इतना टाइम क्यों लगता है?
ನನ್ನ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಖಾತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಇಷ್ಟದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಉಳಿತಾಯ ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡಬಾರದು?
I have a great fintech idea, but I come from small town. Where do I get the support to grow?
These questions have the power to drive significant change. And these are the questions we seek to solve here at the Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. As a wholly owned subsidiary of the Reserve Bank of India, we are driven by a simple yet audacious vision.
We aim to achieve frictionless finance for 1 billion Indians.
Central to this mission is our commitment to use technology to drive innovation and inclusivity in financial services.
All right, so that's Reserve Bank of India, and the goal of Reserve Bank of India's Innovation Hub is to provide frictionless identity and frictionless services to 1 billion citizens, right? And that's a massive impact. So we work very closely there, again, on the API side, on the integration side, on the identity side. If you walk down, you have those videos of customer testimonials playing, and you would see more stats from Reserve Bank of India, right? And then finally, I'm just going to talk you through empowering government as well. So one of the nice things about WSO2 is that we have a large government footprint, right? So if you look through the numbers, there's around 42 national governments we work with globally. These are national level. There's around 3,800 plus local government entities, which range from municipal councils to provincial councils to state governments to different community governments and so on and so forth. Out of these, 18 are national ID systems. There's like 3 or 4 Middle Eastern countries where the whole country citizen ID is handled through WSO2. There's multiple European Union countries where they have digital ID programs running on WSO2. And then you also have these large reference infrastructure or reference implementations globally, which use a lot of WSO2 technology like MOSIP and so on and so forth, right? So very, very successful there. And then we don't know whether this number is accurate enough or not, but we touch 2.2 billion citizen lives, either directly or indirectly. And that's what, like 1/3, 1/4 of the world's population. Now, there's one simple reason behind this. And by the way, the video playing in the background is Uganda's ICT agency, right? The National IT Agency of Uganda. They built the UG Hub, which basically integrates government services and provides a single portal for citizens to access these services. Now, one primary reason behind this is a topic I alluded to already, which is open source. You have to be a really large, really stable company for a government to come and invest you and say, I'm going to trust my whole government, my citizens, my data, my infrastructure in a company, right? So open source helps there. So we have multiple national governments globally, or federal governments or state governments who work with WSO2, but they like the fact that the source code is open, it's open source, it's transparent, it's sustainable. So they know even if WSO2 goes away in the future for some reason, they have access to the code base. Or they know exactly what's going on. They know that we are not doing a cold home capability where you deploy something and it sends something to a server sitting in some other country. So in today's geopolitical era, this is very important, and this is one of the reasons why we have a large government customer base as well. So that's just a snapshot of the customer impact that we have across any industry that you pick, whether it's finance, banking, healthcare, government, retail, logistics, warehousing, so on and so forth, right, across the board. We have a great lineup of speakers here. So tomorrow you'll have some panel discussions. Day after tomorrow, you'll have some customer stories and case studies. Go to them, learn from them. There's some really great speakers here, some really great keynotes as well. And we are proud to have been with these customers over the past 20 years. Some of them have been with us over the past 20 years. Some of them have been with us just for 1 year, and some of them are new, right? So we hope they'll sign up with us. And I'll finish off with one of my favorite quotes. And this is really testament to saying that we have done different things in WSO2, right? We've done some good stuff, we've done some not so good stuff. We've tried out different things. Some have clicked, some haven't. But we are a forever company, right? And we are not lost. We're basically connecting the dots. We're building stuff. We're learning from our mistakes. We're putting things together to become that forever company to keep going into the future, right? One thing I missed to mention is we are arguably the largest open source API management plus integration company in the world. Arguably. I can use the word arguably, right? We are arguably the 6th largest open source company in the world today. We are one of the largest, if not the largest, product company in Sri Lanka, software product company in Sri Lanka. And the list goes on, right? But again, it's not about accolades. It's about the number of customers and number of lives we touch. So this is the story of WSO2, right? This is the story of the little engine that could. The story goes on where the engine goes over the hill and drops the kids off, and then it comes down the hill because it has achieved what it wanted to. And it says, and it kept saying, I thought I could, right? So that's the story of WSO2. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the conference.